Hello. So this video is all about setting clear objectives. So I am a huge believer in having a big vision, a big goal that you're trying to get to, but then also breaking it down into smaller, more manageable, quicker steps. Because once you can start moving towards it and create those celebration phases and milestones, you'll start to believe in yourself more and more that you can actually achieve the big goal you're wanting to. So what this is you'll have access to this link down below. When you go onto this, make sure obviously you go file and then make a copy from it and then use that. So what we want to do, now keep in mind, there's going to be a whole module on the financial piece of this. So what I'm wanting to do with this is just to start formulating an idea, a vision of where you're trying to go. And piece by piece through the next videos and through the remainder of this course, you'll have a big vision, a big goal and understanding of where you're trying to go, both from a revenue standpoint, your involvement in the business. And then we'll be able to tie all this together to figure out where you need to shift your position in the company, how your team needs to show up, the roles and responsibilities for everybody. So what I want you to do from this is this section here. So these two that are in yellow, please fill this out. So I've set this up so these cells here will automatically fill in for you based on what you put here. So obviously from the actual, I want you to put your actual revenue in there, and then I want to put what your revenue per annum goal is as well. So let's, for example, I'll fill this out with you. And again, this is meant to be simple and action steps. So I'm trying not to overcomplicate things and just keep them as simple as possible. So some of this you might be like, this seems too simple. Don't worry. This is us starting to really review and analyze where you are so we can take incredibly strategic and clear action steps towards where you want to go. So when it comes to your actual, write that down. So let's just say you've got 560K a year. That's what you're making. And then your goal though is you actually want to hit 1.1 mil. So what's this gap is going to tell you? It's going to go, right, well, currently there's a gap of 540,000 based off where we are to where we want to be, which is absolutely fine. So then it brings you what I would love about something I've always done, and I just find it so much easier, is when we're looking at goals and we want to set clear objectives of where we want to go. If we make it a really big figure, sometimes that can overwhelm us. And our brain starts to go, but how's that even going to happen? How are we going to get there? Oh my God, this can't happen, blah, 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 blah. And then from that, we're not likely to take action because we're scared, because we have no clue how we're going to do that. So I break everything down into very simple daily revenue goals. Because if you can do something intentionally every day to grow your revenue, then that is going to be so much quicker and the momentum will build a lot quicker than if you were to do something every year to move towards a yearly goal. So in this example, the actual based off of this is $1,534,000 or pounds a day. But where you're trying to get to is there's a gap that you can see here, 1,479,000 pounds. That's the gap of where you're trying to go. So basically you're trying to double what your daily revenue is. And all the practices I'm going to take you through is going to show you how to actually do this in the most consistent and sustainable way. So our goal is to reach 3,000 pounds a day. That's what we want. And when we can hit 3,000 pounds a day, your revenue of 1.1 you're going to get there. And as you can see here now, so if we look over into this section, F to L, I break this down into phases, as I said, because it's actionable, it's sustainable, and you're ensuring that your infrastructure is sound in order to support the continuous growth of your business. So what we want to do is start by looking at phase one and go, okay, from where I am to where I want to be, phase one is only a growth of 15% from where I am. The average businesses that I see actually grow on average between anywhere from 7 to 25% year on year on a consistent basis. So this is completely doable. And I've seen people actually I've seen people quadruple their income in a few months when they've gone through this process because they got incredibly intentional about where their money's coming from, how to streamline and automate things to free up the time and energy needed to really focus on the growth of the business. So as I've mentioned, if you continue to follow these steps, you will achieve this. Now, here's our phases. So this is good for you to note. As I said, we'll be doing more on this later in the course. So the major component of this is just get clear on what's your actual revenue at the moment, what are you actually making, and what's your goal revenue to make. So we want to fill in these two parts here. And then I've asked you 3 questions down here. So what we now want to get clear on, you'll see I've got a mind map down here. Now I find it so much easier to work in visuals when it comes to business because there's so much going on where you'll have an offering here that's attached to this, that does this, that does that. So they're literally the cogs of your business. What we're wanting to do is strengthen these cogs. And in order to strengthen the cogs of your business, the blueprint, we need to ensure that we know what job each and every one of them is doing, and that it has a clear purpose and direction. And the way that we do that is by these next videos, which is all about reviewing where you currently are. So you'll have access to this as well. There's a link down below, or you can just write it out yourself. But for simplicity's sake, I've put it on here. So what I want you to do from this point of awareness, go, right, I'm making $560K a year, for example. I want to make 1.1, but let's just focus on where are you at now? This is just the review. So what you want to do is who is in your team currently and what are their roles? This isn't about going, oh, they should be doing this or they should be doing that. What are they actually doing? Who's in the business and what are they actually doing? And then I want you to separate that and go, what is your current role in the business? What is it that you're actually doing? And then list out the current systems and processes in the business. So this might be more helpful for you when you start to list those out. So for example, offering 1, who are the people that are attached to your offering 1? So you might have 4 offerings, you might just have the 1, you might have 10, but list all the ones out that you have so then we can review them. So rinse and repeat this system for as many offerings as you have. So go offering 1, okay. The people that are attached to this is just myself. So what's the time commitment from me in order to sell this offering? So then we list out the time it takes for yourself and or the team, and what is that actually costing you? If you're like, oh, it's not costing anything because I'm doing it all myself, write down how many hours it takes you to do this and what your desired annual income is. And then we can actually work off what your hourly rate is. And then you'll start to see your time as more valuable. I see a lot of times CEOs will just do the work. It's like, that's just easy. I'll just do it myself. When the work might be a $15 an hour work, but you're actually doing it. And as the CEO and visionary of the business, your job and role is to drive the business forward. And if you're stuck in tasks that are very low value costing tasks, that's actually not the place that you want to be in your business. And there's another component to that. The reason I see a lot of people and CEOs do that is because they've been burnt before by hiring other people and it hasn't worked. In the module about roles and responsibilities, I'll help you go through that and shift it a little bit more so you can actually open up the roles and responsibilities in your business more. But as I said, I do want you to get clear on what your actual role in the business is, how much time yourself and or your team are spending on offering 1, for example. And then I want to ask you the question, what's the capacity of growth with this product? So if it's a one-on-one service, obviously the capacity of growth, of scalability, is dependent upon the person's time. So if you've got an offering that somebody in the team produces, but they only have 30 hours they can invest in it, your capacity is capped at that amount. But that's okay. We just want to get clear on there. And then again, obviously, what's your current involvement in this particular one? Then the next one, what's the current software that's needed to support this particular offering? Your business is a different thing altogether. But with what we're trying to do, as I said, is build the cogs out of your offering. So with offering 1 that you list, what's the specific software needed to support this ongoing offering? Then what's the process? So what is the time and the cost required? So again, if it's a one-on-one, with the onboarding process, how long does that normally take? Is there then an email? So if that's the case, what the email software you've got in regards to that? What's the offboarding process look like? What's the touch points process look like? We want to start getting really clear when we can list out step by step what each offering has and attached to it. We get a clearer picture on which one is easiest and best for us to scale next, which ones we could slightly pivot or shift to improve, and which ones we potentially will leave behind because we've realized it's actually not where we're going. This is all part of the process and it's completely normal. Now, I want to also preface this: when you're reviewing, We're in the review phase. And I know this lesson is called setting clear objectives. We need to set clear objectives by getting clear on where we are and where we want to go. So there's two parts to this particular video. It's getting clear on your goals, your financial goals. And then the second part is where are you currently? So then the next video talks about how we can create the actual smart goal setting that's going to help you take those action steps, because you know where you're trying to go, you know where you are now, and we're just filling in that gap. So then I want you to get clear. This is a really big one. So the offerings, again, for offering one, what's the revenue that you actually generate on this particular offering? So as you've mentioned up here, let's, for example, 560,000. Well, actually this particular revenue, it accounts for 25% of our annual revenue in the business. And then you might have a look at the costs, because you've put a quick estimation here. It doesn't have to be exact. We're just doing guesstimates and estimations at the moment. As I said, we'll go into further detail later in the course. But then you might go, look, I'm actually in 25% of annual revenue for this. However, this is costing me 40% of the annual costs is dedicated to this particular offering. So this is brilliant. This is data that we've got to then analyze and go, is there a way we can make this leaner? Is this a way that we can shift it, that we can create additional offerings outside this one that doesn't require any more people, doesn't require any more software, just gives additional assistance to our customers and clients, so we get more revenue for the one offering and increase the profitability of it. Again, I'll teach you all this later in the modules. So get clear on this, please. And there's another question I'm going to add for you here. So this is about the actual setting up the clear intentions. So what I want you to do is ask yourself, how much do you want to work in the business? I want you to talk hours for me. We want to get specific. And then I want to ask you, you'll have another chance to do this later in the course as well. But again, this is all about clarity and getting clear on where you're trying to go and what you genuinely care about. What do you want to be doing in the business? There is no right or wrong with this. I've had CEOs say to me, oh, but I have to do this role because I'm the CEO. Honestly, you get to decide what your role is in the business because you created it. So if you don't want to do the revenue side, if you actually would love doing the back end side of the business, it's absolutely fine. We just need to ensure that there's somebody else who can take on additional roles to support you. There's heaps of different ways we can do this. So get really clear. How many hours do you actually want to work in the business? I've had people come to me and they go, I only want to work 5 hours a week and that's it. Other people go, ideally, I'd sell this business in 3 years and have nothing to do with it. So if that's the case, we completely transition them out of the business. Other people are like, I want to work more hours in the business, but doing the things I love. There is no right or wrong. This is just what you care about. So to set clear objectives, as I've stated, start by writing out what your actual goal is. Sorry, your actual revenue. I keep saying actual goal. What your actual revenue is. Then write down what your goal revenue is and just get clear on what the phases look like. Because the way that you get to the big goal is by breaking down it into smaller and smaller chunks. So you can build the momentum, build the self-belief and the capacity to continue to scale consistently and sustainably. And a cool thing about this as well is when you actually achieve a new milestone and we celebrate it, you're programming your brain to achieve things you thought weren't possible, which means it's going to see the opportunities of where it's possible, and you're going to keep moving towards your goal with more and more clarity and more confidence. So the objective and the action steps for this particular lesson is please fill out your actual revenue, your goal revenue, answer these questions and start to formulate and break this down a little bit more so that the next video is going to be an add-on of how we start moving that from where you are to where you want to be in very micro, very sustainable, very easy steps to achieve what you ultimately want. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.